Hello, today I'll be presenting my collage based on my experience with the LSEN class. So, before I went, I was very worried. There were quite a few concerns. I didn't know how the kids would react because it's a new person. I might disrupt their whole schedule and their routine because I know with these kids, routine is extremely important. So I was quite worried, but the little dog represents my curiosity because I've always been interested in LSEN and going into remedial, so I was quite curious to see what actually happens. The glasses is looking forward to it, wanting to see what happens, how they deal with the kids, all about my observations, my excitement to observe it. And the little clip out of a recipe book, that's to sort of represents trying a new recipe. You never know how it's going to end up until you try it and you have your final bite. So this whole experience was like trying a new recipe. Try it out, do all the steps, follow everything, observe, read the instructions, and by the end of it, I will have tasted it and see if I enjoyed it or not. For my time at the LSEN class, it was extremely incredible actually. The clock represents time and their age, because for these learners, time doesn't necessarily matter as much as in a mainstream school. They get an assignment, they have extended time to work on it and show their full potential. And age-wise, LSEN class doesn't discriminate about age. In this state, there was a 14-year-old in grade 1, at a grade 1 level. There's no discrimination about age. It's all about learners' ability and what they are capable of. The cake represents celebration, because these learners, and how I felt, they were all celebrated, all their differences, their diagnosis, everything was celebrated, and I really enjoyed experiencing and celebrating their differences with them, because they all had totally different ideas on how to do things, different methods, different ways they think about it, and I really celebrated seeing all these different methods and how well they actually did. It was just amazing. The tree represents the gift of love and care, because in these situations, the teacher is like a second mother or a second father. They give love constantly. They're constantly caring about the kids. It's not simply, oh, that child's falling behind. No, they see the child's falling behind. They want to help. They walk the child through slowly at their pace in a caring, loving manner. It was just brilliant. The pillow with the colourful feather, that represents bold, colourful, everything in the class. These learners thrived on using colour. Some of them couldn't recognize numbers, so they would match, take a highlighter, colour in the number 1, and then in green, and then highlight a picture representing the number 1, so like 1 marble. And they'd colour code it, and it was just bright, and they were able to absorb everything, and that really, really helped them. The dirty work boot represents the hard work that these kids put in. It's not simply, I can't do it. These kids put in the work. They want to do it. It might take them a little bit extra time, but they are adamant to get the job done. No matter how dirty or difficult the job is, they will get it done. They are determined, and that's because the teacher is able to see their abilities and they want to prove themselves. It's utterly amazing how these children who are thought to be struggling actually work so hard to get what they think they deserve. Tools, I put some tools because there are so many concrete tools that are used, games that are used to help solidify content and knowledge. There are so many different tools that are available to everybody, every teacher, that can be used to assist these struggling learners. They are labeled struggling, but they just need some extra time, extra motivation, extra love and care, maybe a different method to get them to understand something, but they can do it. Afterwards, I realized that the ball with the wire represents the whole community. Everything around these learners and around us as teachers affects everything. Home life affects them, school life, friends, diagnoses, everything is connected. You can't just sit in a class and teach a learner. You have to think about their home life. Lots of these learners did have terrible or not appropriate home lives, and that affected their learning. So it's not just their diagnoses, it's everything around them that affects them. The little house floor plan is representational of how important a good classroom floor plan is. These learners need to be able to see you, have enough space to move around, because lots of them need mobility to keep their mind active, because if they're sitting still and having to listen, they often daydream or go off. So they need space, they need a nice clean area. Some of them had little cubicles which blocked off distraction, which helped. Floor plan in a classroom is very, very key. This one, 1, 2, 3, fix, I've crossed it out because it's not as simple as that. There are so many different learners that need so many different methods of assistance. It's not just a simple fix. You have to work to it. You have to really try and figure out how to best help that specific learner. You can't just say, oh, I'm going to do this and they're going to get it. No, this is not an easy fix. Everybody, like I said, everybody in the community needs to help the learner. Not just the teacher, not just the school, but the family, the community, everybody. This is an environment. These learners need assistance from everybody around them. The bike represents a long journey. This is not going to be an easy journey. And for me, I want to go into remedial. And I can see with this observation, it is going to take a long time to get to the level where I will feel confident that I'll actually be able to help these learners in a way that will push them to do their best and show us the best that they're able to do. And I've got the secret ingredient is always love. Obviously, if a child feels cared for, secure and safe and loved in the classroom, they are going to be confident to do their work as best as they can and want to prove to themselves and to you that they are able to do the work that you've assigned. I've also got the one with the apple and donut that represents do's and don'ts. What you do need to do, what you don't discriminate against them, but you celebrate their differences. It also represents diet. I realize that a lot of these learners, if they are eating the wrong thing, if they have too many sweets or not enough protein in their diet for that day, they are unable to concentrate and do the work that is necessary. So diet is extremely important. And for learners, there were a couple with epilepsy. If they didn't eat the right food, or they didn't have breakfast, or they had something too sugary or full of sodium, that could trigger an epileptic fit. Weather also can trigger things. It's a real diverse group of learners. You never are going to be able to say, this learner does this method, let's try it with the other. It's too diverse. You have to watch out for activities in the sun with the epileptic kids that need more concrete things. It's, a very, very complex environment, and you can't just do it one way. You have to adjust yourself continuously for each learner to make sure you're able to get that learner the right level of education, to make sure they understand what you're teaching.